The Late Show studio buzzed with energy as Stephen Colbert took his place behind the desk, his grin wide and sincere. His presence lit up the room, exuding warmth and wit, as the audience erupted into applause, their cheers vibrating through the walls. The anticipation was palpable, promising an evening of sharp humor and insightful commentary. Across from him sat Elon Musk, the billionaire mogul, with a casually tousled look and a relaxed posture, yet his eyes betrayed a simmering arrogance. His presence was commanding, a man whose wealth and power filled the room. As Musk settled into his chair, the mix of Colbert's loyal fans and Musk's tech-obsessed followers created a tense atmosphere, their voices rising in eager anticipation of Colbert's signature humor cutting through Musk's bravado. Beneath the surface, a clash was brewing, one that would eventually escalate into a fiery confrontation and lead to Musk being escorted off the set. Colbert, standing tall for the room, launched into his monologue with his usual grace. "Folks, we've got a big guest tonight. Elon Musk, the guy with more money than most countries and a plan to ditch us all for Mars," he quipped, a knowing smile accompanying his words. The room erupted in laughter, the crowd buzzing with approval, as Colbert effortlessly took a stand for the average viewer, cutting through Musk's billionaire image. Musk, unfazed, leaned back in his chair. "Stephen, I'm saving humanity one rocket at a time. You're welcome," he replied, dripping with condescension. The audience's reaction was lukewarm, some weakly clapping, while a quiet unease settled over the room. It was clear Musk's swagger had rubbed some the wrong way. Colbert raised an eyebrow. "Saving us, huh? Still flaunting that billionaire glow like it's a privilege for us to watch, Elon?" His jab was gentle but firm, a clear stand for fairness. The crowd chuckled, nervously, the tension between the two starting to simmer. The interview pressed on, Colbert guiding the conversation toward SpaceX. "So Elon, this Mars idea, you're serious about colonizing it? Or is it just a playground for the ultra-rich to escape us peasants?" Colbert asked, a grin on his face, as he threw in a wink to the camera. The audience responded with laughter and steady applause, a show of support for Colbert's fight for the little guy. Musk shrugged nonchalantly. "It's serious, Stephen. Earth's a mess. I'm building the future. Mars is where it's at," he replied, his tone dripping with smugness. The crowd's mood shifted, some clapping faintly, while others frowned, their discomfort growing as Musk's aloofness became more apparent. Colbert leaned forward. "The future, huh? What about us stuck here footing the bill for your cosmic joyride? Ever think of that?" His tone remained light, but the challenge in his voice was undeniable. His eyes sparked with a subtle fierceness. Was this humor? Or was it a critique of something deeper? The air grew thick with tension. Musk's smirk began to fade, his fingers tapping irritably on the armrest. "Oh, Stephen, you're whining about bills now? Stick to comedy, leave the vision to me," he said, his voice cool and laced with scorn. The audience gasped, some softly booing while others leaned forward, sensing the shift in the mood. The tension between them was now palpable, a spring coiling tighter by the second. Colbert's smile tightened, but he didn't back down. "Comedy, sure, Elon, but I'm not the one dodging reality with a private planet," he shot back, his words swift and grounded with a hint of steel. The crowd cheered loudly, their faith in Colbert surging as the room tilted toward something raw, something real. Could Colbert maintain the moral high ground, or had Musk lit a fuse that would burn them both? As the audience's cheers for Colbert grew into a steady roar, the energy in the studio was electric. Musk, now visibly restless, drummed his fingers. On the armrest, his smirk replaced by a thin, smug line. His eyes scanned the crowd as if they were beneath him, a mogul who saw nothing but the path ahead, ready to bulldoze anything in his way. Colbert sat steady, his grin fading into a firm resolve. "Dodging reality, Elon? That's rich coming from a guy who thinks Mars fixes everything." Colbert's voice cut through the tension, a final, sharp jab that left the room hanging in the air. "Everything while we're still here, picking up the pieces." Colbert's words were sharp, a calculated jab that landed with precision. The audience erupted, clapping enthusiastically, some whooping in support. The room was now a battleground, Musk's arrogance starting to show cracks as the tension simmered. With every passing second, the heat in the air grew. Musk leaned forward, his tone frigid. "Oh, Stephen, you're so noble, huh? Crying for the little people while I'm out here solving real problems. Maybe you should stick to your jokes," he shot back, dripping with disdain. His words felt like a dismissal of everything the room represented, and the audience's discomfort began to turn to anger. A wave of boos rolled in, clashing with Musk's swagger. The clash ignited. Colbert's eyes flashed. "Jokes, sure. But at least I'm not pretending my bank account makes me a savior. You're solving problems for who, Elon? Yourself?" His reply was fierce but fair, a thunderbolt of truth that rallied the audience. Their cheers surged, some even standing, their faith in Colbert unwavering. The room was electric, Colbert holding the line while Musk, it seemed, was stumbling. Musk's hand sliced the air, his patience breaking. "You don't get it, Stephen. I'm building the future and you're stuck in the past whining about fairness. It's pathetic," he snarled, his voice rising with entitlement. The audience jeered, their boos intensifying, but Colbert remained steady, his voice unwavering. "The future, huh? Sounds like a fancy excuse to leave us behind," Colbert countered, his tone still light but cutting. "I'm not whining, I'm watching out for them, something you seem to have forgotten." His words were a shield, a defense of the very people Musk had belittled. The crowd's applause roared, a tidal wave of support flooding over Colbert. The confrontation raged on, Musk's words growing more hostile as he slashed at the air. "You still don't get it, Stephen," Musk snapped, his voice a snarl of frustration. "You're whining about fairness while I'm building the future. You're pathetic." The tension in the room reached a boiling point, but Colbert stayed calm, his voice cutting through the storm. "Yeah, the future, Elon. But at least I'm not pretending my private planet makes me a hero." Colbert's words were swift, a clear shot across Musk's bow. The crowd cheered again, louder this time, their trust in Colbert deepening as the fight intensified. Then, the moment came. Musk, his patience snapped, surged to his feet, his chair screeching against the floor. "I don't need this, Stephen. You're a clown. I'm done with your sanctimonious garbage," he barked, his hands ripping the microphone from its stand, the cord flailing wildly as he stormed off the stage. The audience's boos turned to cheers for Colbert, their loyalty. To the host now crystal clear, Colbert, unshaken, raised his hands. "Elon, take care. Mars won't miss you," he said coolly, a parting shot that landed softly but certainly. The room exploded in applause, the air thick with victory. The confrontation had flared and burned out, Musk exposed, Colbert poised to reclaim the night. Backstage, chaos erupted. Crew members scrambled, their headsets buzzing with frantic chatter as news of Musk's departure sent shockwaves through the team. Musk had stormed past a producer's outstretched hand, his coat flapping behind him as he muttered under his breath, his rage still simmering. Staff members whispered quickly, recounting Musk's prickly demeanor from the start, pacing nervously. Before the show, his ego, it seemed, had cracked under Colbert's steady fire. Clips of the confrontation flooded online, the storm Musk had unleashed still raging in the public eye. The battle was far from over. "I'm done with your sanctimonious garbage." Musk's words sparked a viral flare, igniting a storm of reactions online. Some bashing his tantrum, others hailing Colbert's stand. The digital tide swelled, but the spotlight remained firmly on Colbert. The set was his stage, the crowd his strength, and this moment became his to shine. A test he would ace not with anger, but with grace. Leaning into the mic, Colbert's voice was smooth, sure. "Well, folks, looks like Elon's off to colonize the green room. Guess he didn't like the view from Earth." His tone was light but pointed, a quip that had the audience bursting into laughter. Their applause swelled, some clapping, others cheering, grabbing onto his lifeline with both hands. The tension melted, the spark of unity flickering bright. He didn't harp on Musk's meltdown. Instead, Colbert deftly wove it into a riff. "I thought we'd talk rockets, not launch one. Off stage. My mistake." His grin was a bridge. The crowd's laughter booming in response, applause surging like a wave. Colbert had turned a potential fracture into a triumph, Musk's rage fading under Colbert's calm. The vibe shifted. Colbert pivoted with ease, his voice rising. Okay, let's move on. We've got a show to do. You folks ready for some fun? His outstretched hand, his warm, unwavering smile invited the audience into a new chapter. The crowd roared back, their cheers thundering through the studio, some standing, others shouting. The collective surge of energy tied them to Colbert's fight, a triumph not over Musk's fall, but in the rise of the night. The show flowed forward, the crowd's buzz a steady heartbeat. Their trust in Colbert was a rock, and some nodded while others beamed. A night that had teetered on chaos now stood firm. Colbert's command of the moment was undeniable, Musk's exit a fading memory. The set was alive with the victory Colbert had pulled from the fray, step by deft step. He'd turned a showdown into a showcase. The break neared, but the pause was already claimed. When the break dissolved, the late show studio roared back to life, the lights casting a vibrant glow over Colbert at his desk. The crowd's energy surged, their earlier shock now a distant whisper replaced by cheers that crashed against the walls. A salute to the night reclaimed from Musk's arrogant exit. Colbert stood tall, his posture easy, his grin wide and true. His eyes gleamed with quiet strength. He'd faced a billionaire's tantrum and turned it into a win for the everyman. The audience locked on him, clapping, their voices soaring as they eagerly anticipated the rest of the show. This was a tale of principle over privilege unfolding in real time, a triumph earned with wit and heart. He didn't linger on Musk's meltdown. Instead, Colbert rode the wave with warmth, filling the space with a calm that carried through. Well, folks, we've had a little turbulence. Elon took off faster than his rockets, but we're still here, right? His chuckle sparked a renewed sense of spirit in the crowd. Laughter erupted, some whooping, a release that bridged the night's rift. Colbert had turned a storm into a story they owned together. His hands gestured calm, his resolve, a thread that drew them in. Musk's scorn was a fading shadow while Colbert's light kept the show alive. The buzz of the studio was palpable, the heartbeat of the night thrumming through every cheer and nod. Outside the studio, the online storm churned. Clips of Musk's, "I'm done with your sanctimonious garbage," and Colbert's quick-witted retort raced across screens, splitting the chatter. Some slammed Musk's ego, while others praised Colbert's backbone, an online blaze that was now burning bright. The noise stretched the night's reach, a saga echoing far beyond the studio walls. A win for the host who had stood firm. Musk's team remained silent, offering no words to douse the fire, while Colbert's crew watched the views climb, his steady hand a hook that anchored a triumph sealed in the moment. The clash had been a stepping stone to his shine, a tale that landed clean and real. Back on stage, Colbert introduced the musical guest, the band's lively notes washing over the room like a bright current, lifting the crowd. Their bodies swayed, their applause a steady pulse. The night's raw edge softened into a glow they could carry, a close that wrapped tight and true, born of standing tall, not striking back. As the clock wound down, Colbert took his final stand, alone, under the lights. His presence was a beacon, holding the space with unshakable grace. His voice, rich with gratitude, filled the room. "You folks are the heart of this. Thanks for sticking with me. Hit that like button if you felt it. Subscribe for more real nights." His call, a natural cap to the show, ignited the crowd. The room burst into a standing ovation, a roar that rattled the rafters, a tribute to a host who had turned a blowout into brilliance, step by steady step. The cameras swept wide, capturing faces lit with pride, some buzzing, others beaming, all bound to a night that had ended bold and clear. Musk's arrogance now a memory, Colbert's triumph a fire that burned bright. The screen faded to black, a perfect close to a show that soared, a nudge to join the fight, a legacy of truth over bluster sealed in their cheers. Hey, if you love this stand, smash that like button, subscribe, and stick with us for more.